anyone who comes across his path and he disagrees with, he often resorts to this kind of populist rhetoric of undermining his political adversaries. And he has made political capital with these very unfortunate and problematic uses of kind of race-based threats of violence against white people. To use that as evidence of a genocide against white people is simply not true.
Mortgage fraud was simply a mistake. I want to get your thoughts on that. She put down that
a lot of people are very concerned with regard to South Africa, and that's really the purpose of the meeting, and we'll see how that turns out. But we have many people that feel they're being persecuted, and they're coming to the United States. So we take from many locations if we feel there's persecution or genocide going on. And we had a lot of people. I must tell you, Mr. President, we have had a tremendous number of people, especially since they've seen this. She's very bad for New York, but I really don't know too much about it, but I appreciate the question. Thank you very much. Generally, they're white farmers, and they're fleeing South Africa, and it's a very sad thing to see. But I hope we can have an explanation of that, because I know you don't want that. It's a kind of a different meeting. Normally we have meetings, we talk about trade, and we'll be talking about trade and other things. But that certainly will be a subject that comes up, yeah. Including people in cities and towns that are also being killed. So we're trying to help.
What would it take for you to be convinced that there's no white genocide in South Africa?
Well, I can answer that for the President. It's for him. No, seriously.
I'd rather have him answer.
Yeah, I'd rather answer that. It will be.
Our President will respond to you.
Yeah,
Thank you, Mr. President.
It will take President Trump listening to the voices of South Africans, some of whom are his good friends, like those who are here. When we have talks between us on around a quiet table, it will take President Trump to listen to them. I'm not going to be repeating what I've been saying. I would say if there was Afrikaner farmer genocide, I can bet you these three gentlemen would not be here, including my Minister of Agriculture. He would not be with me. So it'll take him, President Trump, listening to their stories, to their perspective. That is the answer to your question.
Occupy land, that's who we are. Can we withdraw my membership from this useless parliament? Yes, honorable member. We are going to occupy land, South Africa, occupy.
What would you like President Ramaphosa to do about the situation that we've just seen on the screen?
I don't know. Look, these are articles over the last few days. Death of people. Death. You can't go there. He said they want to take your legislature.
Well, let me clarify that.
Yeah,
let me clarify that, because what you saw, the speeches that were being made, one, that is not government policy. We have a multi-party democracy in South Africa that allows people to express themselves, political parties to adhere to various policies, and in many cases, or in some cases, those policies do not go along with government policy. Our government policy is completely against what he was saying, even in the parliament. And they're a small minority party, which is allowed to exist in terms of our constitution.
But you do allow them to take land.
No.
You do allow them to take land.
Nobody can take land.
And then when they take the land, they kill the white farmer. And when they kill the white farmer, nothing happens to them.
No, there is
nothing happens to them.
There is criminality in our country. People who do get killed, unfortunately, through criminal activity, are not only white people. Majority of them are black people. And we have now been utilized.
The farmers are not black. I don't say that's good or bad, but the farmers are not black. And the people that are being killed in large numbers, and you saw all those grave sites, and those are people that loved ones going, I guess on a Sunday morning, they told me, to pay respect to their loved ones that were killed. Their heads chopped off, They died violently, and I mean, we're here to talk about it, and I didn't know we'd get involved here. But I will say this, that if the news wasn't fake, like NBC, which is fake news, totally, one of the worst, ABC, NBC, CBS, horrible. But if they weren't fake news like this jerk that we have here, if we had real reporters, they'd be covering it. But the fake news in this country doesn't talk about that.
Guarantees and protects the sanctity of tenure of land ownership.
That was Donald Trump speaking there. He was also asked if what was happening in South Africa constituted a genocide.
Well, I haven't made up my mind. I hate to see it from the standpoint of South Africa, but also, I'm trying to save lives. I'm working with Russia and Ukraine. I don't have to do that. It's not our war. It was started by other people. It was helped along by our past administration. It would have never happened if I were president, but I'm trying to save lives. And no matter where. Rwanda, I have nothing to do with Rwanda and the Congo, but I felt I had a very talented person in this administration, and I sent him there, and he did an unbelievable job, I think. I mean, we're going to find out, but he's done the hardest part of the job. It should happen. If I can save lives, I want to save the lives. If it's in Africa, that's great. If it's in Europe, if it's wherever it may be.
All right, Donald Trump there speaking at this extraordinary ambush of the South African president in the Oval Office. Let's get some more reaction, a better idea of what is really going on. I'm joined by Karyn Maughan, who is a legal journalist at 24 News. She's based in Johannesburg. Good evening, Karyn.
Thanks for having me.
What is the truth about what's happening in South Africa? These are claims of a white genocide, a genocide of white farmers by Donald Trump. They are being made by the leader of the free world in front of the world's press.
There is no white genocide in South Africa. Yes, we are defined as the most unequal country in the world, and we have a shockingly high murder rate. Our last set of crime statistics revealed that on average, about 76 South Africans will lose their life every day in South Africa. But the vast majority of those victims of crime are Black people. And that is simply because the kind of race-based policies that were entrenched by the apartheid administration until the late or early 90s basically have created the grossly unequal society that I've mentioned. And many Black people are simply not able to economically provide the level of security and support that white people such as myself are able to. So, yes, we have a fundamental problem with crime in South Africa. I can personally speak of a number of friends and people that I know that have been murdered. But is it a white genocide? Are white people being targeted? Definitely not. The farm murder situation is tragic. They are abhorrent murders. They occur across racial lines, despite what President Trump seems to believe. And they occur largely because of the isolated nature of the farm and the ease with which these perpetrators are able to kill people and escape from those kind of crime scenes.
OK, and farmers are being killed. Why? Are they being robbed at the same time? Sort of why are farmers being targeted?
Often it's because of the isolated nature of where they're staying.
But what does the attacker want from that farmer? Sorry to interject, Karyn.
Is typically the motivation that occurs. Yes.
Look, a lot of people are asking, why Donald Trump's made this outburst. Is it the influence of Elon Musk? Does it cut a little bit deeper than that?
Look, I mean, I think what we're seeing, and I think we're seeing this globally as journalists, and it's immensely difficult and frustrating, is that problems that, we do have a crime problem in South Africa, but to misrepresent that as a white genocide, which exists within a specific legal definition where people are being targeted because of their race, and to use the utterances made by Julius Malema, who, by the way, has called me mentally ill. Anyone who comes across his path and he disagrees with, he often resorts to this kind of populist rhetoric of undermining his political adversaries. And he has made political capital with these very unfortunate and problematic uses of kind of race-based threats of violence against white people. To use that as evidence of a genocide against white people is simply not true. President Trump also makes claims that white people's land is being confiscated from it by the South African government. That is not true. What we do have is an expropriation bill, which is currently the subject of very fierce litigation by both the DA, the party that John Steenhuisen and the Agriculture Minister leads, and AfriForum, which is one of the groups that has been advocating for the Afrikaner farmers with President Trump. That legislation is under attack in various court cases. But up until now, not a single piece of farmland in South Africa has been expropriated without compensation in South Africa. So that claim is also false.
Okay.
I don't know what informs this particular rhetoric, but I think the fact of the matter is that refugees from Afghanistan, from Syria, from genuine war zones are being denied entry to the United States, while white Afrikaans people who, live in often situations of relative comfort and not a war zone, because South Africa is not a war zone, are gaining entry to that country. And I think America is the one best placed to answer the question as to
those
why.
questions. Look, we know that Cyril Ramaphosa is not a popular person in South Africa. He's not a popular character. There will be some South Africans, even if this accusation of genocide is completely incorrect, there will be some people in South Africa who are pleased to see the man who rarely gives interviews given a dressing down.
Well, I mean, I don't know that we believe it was a dressing down. I mean, the social media reaction in South Africa
it's hugely embarrassing for him.
No, I mean, I think he held his own. I don't, I think there's a comparison with Zelensky, but we, from a South African perspective, I certainly thought that it potentially could have been worse than what it was. By the end, the tone had substantially dropped. This wasn't a Zelensky scenario where people had to leave the room. By the end, it was jokes amongst the golfers, et cetera, et cetera. We don't know what's going to happen behind closed doors. But certainly, we're dealing in an environment as journalists now where a lot of what we're doing isn't about a sort of leveraged, evaluation of stuff of facts that are mutually agreed upon. A lot of it is just pushing back against social, false misinformation on social media.
Understood.
And that's exactly what's happened here.
Karyn, but it's been played out. It has been played out on the world stage. Look, we must leave it there for time. It's been so interesting to speak to you. Thank you for so eloquently putting that across. Karyn Maughan, who is a legal journalist at 24 News based in Johannesburg. There will be more coverage of this